Hi, I'm Ron Patton. I'm the executive producer of Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis here in Portland, Oregon. And this is another exciting edition of the Ground Zero Lounge with Clyde Lewis. Clyde, come on up.
Thank you, Ron. So, what should we talk about today?
Yes.
Oh my God, really? Yeah. It's funny that this wonderful event happens on my Ground Zero lawn. But you know, it's interesting. I'll tell you the truth. You know, this whole week, it's been said that it's probably been the best week for Ground Zero, and I would agree. Wouldn't you all agree it's the best week for Ground Zero? I mean, yeah, we're up there somewhere. And I think the reason why is because of the fact that as I was doing research on the El Paso shootings and the shootings in Dayton, Ohio, and making what we call the through line. Okay, I was making the through line, meaning that you have a timeline, right? Timeline, you have bits and pieces of the timeline, then all of a sudden something happens where snap, you're overlapping, okay? And when you're looking at quantum physics, you're looking at quantum entanglements. What you have is you have what is called the brain or the membrane type existence where you're caught in this bubble, okay? And it's like, picture yourself as the frog boiling in the water, okay? And everybody says when you turn the water up slowly, the frog eventually realizes that he's gonna burn and drown and everything else. Well, let's say, for example, before you have that last moment of consciousness when you're in that boiling water, you begin to notice something about the bubbles in the water. They're roiling over each other. Eventually, you're going to collapse and go into those bubbles. But the truth of the matter is that when you look at quantum entanglement, that is how the multiverse operates. The multiverse operates where you see bubble upon bubble upon bubble upon bubble, and every once in a while a bubble goes into a bubble, and they overlap and overlap and overlap, and you're beginning to wonder, where the hell am I? What the hell is happening to me? Am I in this timeline, or in that timeline, or in this timeline, whatever? And so then, we've talked about before on the show, and we've talked about it here too, something called the Mandela effect, okay? And when you're in the Mandela effect is kind of like this. I look at it as collective scotoma, or collective fault in thinking, okay? We all have this impression of how the world works. We all seem to have this collective mindset. We all seem to have this collective recall, but there's one thing missing in that recall, and that is somebody gets something wrong about a historic moment. Somebody gets something wrong about the name of a childhood book, or whether or not Curious George has a tail, or whether or not Darth Vader says to Luke Skywalker, "Luke, I am your father," or "No, I am your father." See, you just don't know the difference because you're so used to having it a certain way, and then one day you wait a minute, I thought there was another way. But no, Mandela effect, oh my God, I'm freaking out, I'm in another timeline. And that's what we tell each other. It's a different timeline. And I remember, what spawned this was Epstein's death today. And the fact that I've been looking into the through lines between El Paso and Dayton and the Charles Manson murders from Cielo Drive to Cielo Vista Mall. It's the idea that we've gone from one extreme to another extreme. And over that 50-year period, there's been these extremes, these types of things that create what I call the overlapping mirror universe, right? And while Manson isn't pulling the trigger, and he didn't back in '69, but we have a ghost, we have a cancer, we have a darkness, okay? And that has been looming through the timeline. And when you have these looming aspects of the timeline, you start seeing patterns. And the reason why you see the patterns is because of the roiling of the bubbles. You see the roiling of the bubbles, you see them all overlap, and if you're aware, if you're paying attention, you say, ooh, wasn't that just like, was that like that movie I saw? Was that like that book I read? Was it something in my recall that I remember? Is it something that it's in my subconscious that I remember, but no one remembers? We call that the Oz effect. It's where you remember something and somebody doesn't remember it. So you're like going, why do I feel this way? Then you bump into somebody and they say, I remember that too. It's like there's a movie called Yesterday, where this young guy, I think he's Pakistani or Middle Eastern, he wakes up one day and realizes that there are no Beatles. And there are no cigarettes, and there's no Coca-Cola, but he realizes he remembers the Beatles. So what does he do? He rips off the song, starts singing, he becomes a rock star. And then one day somebody holds up a yellow submarine. And he goes, shit, somebody's found me out. And sure enough, there are a few people that remember Ringo, George, Paul, and John. Now, isn't it a coincidence? It's the 50th anniversary of Abbey Road. Isn't it a coincidence? The Beatles' White Album inspired Manson to go out and do his killings that he did 50 years ago, yesterday, the day before. Is it any coincidence that numbers meant something to Manson, like Revelation 9, number 9, turn me on, dead man, turn me on, dead man. And then we have Frank Fitzalugi, I can't even remember his name, Fitzalugi, I don't know what his name is, Fitzalugi or whatever. The guy that's with the intelligence ops, he was on MSNBC and he said, well, when we raise the flags after the killings, they're going to raise on 8-8, and that means H, Heil Hitler. And so he's using numerology, and everybody's using numerology, and everybody's trying to make everything fit, and everything's going crazy, and they tell you, don't you dare give us any conspiracy theory spin on what happened in El Paso in Dayton. And what does the media do? Immediately they start doing conspiracy theories, saying that Trump is sending out telepathic messages to his white supremacist foot soldiers and they're committing acts of terror and murder. And I'm thinking, wow, why didn't I think of that? And I'm beginning to think, my show sounds more mainstream than the mainstream media. I mean, that's something I would have come up with, like, what, 20 years ago? And they'd say, Clyde's an idiot. Clyde's a weirdo. Clyde's crazy. But no, they came up with it. Okay? They came up with a conspiracy theory. They came up with Russian collusion. When that didn't stick, they came up with Nazism. They came up with all that. And now, where are we? We're getting so divided, so polarized. You're wondering, am I living in a different timeline? Think about it. How many people here feel as though they're living in a world that's in some weird time loop that you just can't get out of, like a trap? By applause, how many feel that way? I do too. So when Epstein, when he allegedly committed suicide.
Allegedly.
I know, allegedly committed suicide. We don't know if he did or he didn't, or if he was killed, or if he was carted off to some place in Switzerland or something. I thought of Tracy Twyman, who was a producer of the show and who we know was investigating the pedophile rings and some of the underbelly of this country and what's going on in the upper echelons of politics and power. She died the same way Epstein died, allegedly. She was hanged, or she hanged herself. I'm beginning to think that that's the modus operandi for people who need to be silenced. They get hanged. It's one of those very weird things about hanging is that if you don't get it right, you die horribly. If you get it right, 14 seconds, you're dead. So nobody really likes the idea of hanging, you know, a gun or maybe pills or slashing a wrist. They like that better. It's a lot easier. Fall asleep, you don't remember anything. But Epstein, of course, they say he hanged himself, and I don't know how he hanged himself in his cell. If you see anything about the cell that he was in, there's no way he could have hung himself on anything else. So, again, stories don't check out, things don't happen. You're like going, what world am I living in? What is this? Tracy Twyman called it something, and I did some study on it, and I realized that she's correct. Tracy Twyman, if you remember, when she was on my program before she died, she mentioned something called clown world. She said, we're living in clown world. Now, at first, I didn't understand what she meant by that. All I know is that on the internet, clown world is something that the alt-right came up with, and they have this little Pepe the Frog or Keck the Frog, and they put a little clown nose on him and put a rainbow wig on and say, hey, look, it's a clown world. And meme magic starts up, and it was going, meme magic, how weird, you know, and everything. But I did some studying, I did some reading. And well, you're living in a world where men identify as women and women identify as men. You're living in a world where people, this is like out of a Kafka book, I guess. People protest at a McDonald's because they don't have Szechuan sauce for their chicken McNuggets. When you have a guy who shows up with armaments at a Walmart and says, oh, just testing, just kidding. And he doesn't get shot or killed, but he holds the hands up and says, you know. You start to wonder a minute about whether or not you live in a clown world. And what a clown world is it's a dimension that we live in right now. It's like the Mandela effect, except here's the thing. In the Mandela effect, you think, wait a minute, the past isn't what I thought it was. In clown world, you're saying to yourself, wow, the present is nothing like I thought it would be like, and the future doesn't seem too good either. Because my timeline I'm in is run by a bunch of freaking clowns. Okay? It's all about clowning. It's all about clowns. And you know what? This dimension that you're in right now, I'm gonna freak you out. It doesn't exist. I'm serious, okay? This dimension we're in right now, where everything like Epstein dying and all these things going on and pedophiles running the world and all this, doesn't exist. We are caught in a time loop that they call the clown world. And it's all run by clowns. And that's not saying that the things that are happening around you aren't happening, because they're happening. But you know what it is? Go back 50 years to the Manson murders and understand that the counterculture and the extremism in the counterculture was a shock to everybody. Why? No one knew that hippies and all that stuff could get so screwed up when one man controls a group of cult followers to go in and kill movie stars and rich coffee barons. They didn't know, and it shocked them, okay? And, of course, the country, after being shocked and terrified and whatever, got back to normal again. Why? Because the news media was on 24/7. So they were able to stop reporting the story about Manson and his killers. The whole court was a big circus, but then it died down. Everybody went back to work, got about their business, didn't think about Manson until the trial, went back to helter-skelter again, everything went crazy. But the problem we have now in this dimension of clown world that doesn't exist is that while the things are happening, the reason why we know about them is because extremism gets you clicks on the internet. Extremism gets you ratings on CNN. Extremism gets you attention where attention never was given before. And the counterculture, as being a small percentage of the majority, is getting all the attention because of clicks, algorithms, and all kinds of spotlights on CNN. And if they want to ratchet it up, if they want to push an issue, if they want to push an agenda, they certainly are going to keep doing it if they think they're going to get a rise out of it. As long as you keep watching, as long as you keep clicking, as long as you keep searching, as long as you do all those things, those are the things that are going to show up, and they're the things that you're going to pay attention to, even though it's all part of the clown world. You get to see the cartwheeling clowns more than you see the people who mean a lot to this country. You're going to see the cartwheeling clowns before you hear about someone who's done a great thing to help the world. You're going to hear about the cartwheeling clowns and how they control the media, they control the narrative. And you're going to have those cartwheeling clowns coming in and taking out anybody who's going to speak about their clowning around. Anyone who's going to reveal to you that what you're living in is not reality. What you're living in is extreme reality. We get all worked up about a number of things. We all get worked up about, they're getting all worked up about conspiracy theory, right? Oh, you can't spin a conspiracy theory. If you're a follower of Q, we're going to watch you. Now look, I don't trust Q, but I don't think it's right that they should, put people under a microscope or in the crosshairs because they want to reveal who the pedophiles are, who the killers are, who the corrupt are. But see, that's the thing. When you've got these little John Wayne Gacy's running around, you have these little clowns running around, you have the Joker running around. What does the Joker say? It's not about the money. It's about sending a message. Everything burns. And that's right. Everything burns. And they would more than likely throw a scorched earth policy at you than to have you find out the truth about their crime syndicate balls. And we're getting too smart to understand that we're ready to reveal to the world this clown world that has us in its grip. Honk, honk. Honk, honk. That's the slogan for clown world. Honk, honk, H, H, again, Heil Hitler. All that comes together, doesn't it? It's all some strange alt-right attack and fantasy, as if the white supremacists have arrived. They've always been here. But all of a sudden they're here, and they're everywhere. Tucker Carlson made a big boo-boo by saying that white supremacy doesn't exist. It does. It exists. I think what he was trying to say, the same thing I'm trying to say, is that it was, at one time, 1, maybe 2% of the population that would be that angry at the world that they would take it out on a Jew or a black or someone of color. But now, when you have it in the spotlight, the clowns rule the world. Everybody's going to be wearing a Klansman outfit. Everybody's going to attack their neighbor. Everybody, we got to kill, we got to fight, we got to do this. No. All the stuff you're seeing, all these extremes are because of clown world. It's all because they want your clicks. It's all because they want the algorithm to go in that direction. It's all because in a 24-hour news cycle, you just can't stop down to talk about kittens and puppies and rainbows. You gotta have something to fight against. You gotta have something to hate. That's why these cottage industries where you're a victim make a lot of money. These hashtag activists that make a lot of money. Hashtag me too. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Hashtag I'm this. Hashtag I'm that. Hashtag, hashtag, hashtag. Hashtag are we gonna go to Portland next week and are we gonna brawl because we're living in clown world?
They're gonna dress up as Trump supporters.
Yeah. And what about this new movie? Did you hear about the movie The Hunt?
Yeah.
They've decided they're gonna not show it. Okay? But see, once again, that exemplifies clown world. It's the idea that Hollywood is so in on the joke that they're more than happy to make a movie about liberals hunting deplorables. Or they call them deplorables. However, give away the ending, I guess the deplorables win. I don't know if maybe they would demand the movie come back on if that was the case, but all I'm saying is that we're letting Hollywood, which of course happened during the time of Manson, if you remember back then, they blamed a lot of the Manson murders on the Hollywood establishment and their lavish, nihilistic lifestyles, and the kids that they didn't look after and take care of because they're all getting wasted on LSD. And that was one of the problems, they said, was the deal. And then, of course, now we blame a lot of things on the Hollywood establishment. We say it's those limousine liberals that are causing all the problems in the world. No, you know what it is? Here's the deal. You know why Clown World is so successful? Is because the extremists own the culture. Think about it. Think about it. When you have a resistance, okay, and this is what it is, another hashtag resistance. And the resistance has the media, the movies, the books, the magazines. They have radio. In some cases, they have radio. They have other forms of media. They own the culture. They own the narrative. Clown World is what the culture is being exposed to. It's like a nightmare where clowns have taken over. All right? And lo and behold, what are you going to be seeing coming to the theaters in the next few weeks? Next few months? It. Pennywise returns. The Joker returns. And what does that tell you? That tells you that Hollywood is in on Clown World. They're in on it, okay? Now, the problem I have is how many of you are going to think to yourself, I'm not going to respond to Clown World. I'm going to report Clown World because I find Clown World a nightmare. It's like a carnival. It's like a circus. And of course, I'm one of the biggest ringmasters that ever lived because I like watching circuses and I like popping popcorn and watching circuses. I like reporting on circuses, and by damn, we're in the middle of a huge effing circus. Okay. Business as usual in the apocalypse, and for me, business is good. And it should be for you. You should be able to turn the tables on Clown World. Instead of saying fake news, you know what you should say? Say Clown World. I get it. You are living in Clown World. And if that catches on, I mean, look, I know what the internet is going to say about me talking about Clown World, saying, well, it's an alt-right meme, Clyde. It's something that you know nothing about. No, here's the thing. You can make it an alt-right, you can make it a racist thing, you can put whatever you want on it. But the truth of the matter is, when people start acting weird because of what little thing they hear in the media, what little thing they see on the internet, what little conspiracy theory they want to run around, false flag, false flag, false flag. Clown World. Not fake news. Clown World. Because news is news. Satire is satire. Making fun or editorializing, that's what we do. That's what we've done in America. It's been satire is what we've done since Mad Magazine. But of course, Mad Magazine isn't going to be around anymore. Why? You don't want a handbook for Clown World. What me worry? Yeah, you better damn well worry. Because you don't want a handbook for Clown World. Because we have the plans for the clowns. Send in the clowns. Oh, don't worry, they're here.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're here.
Maybe they're here. Yeah, send in those clowns. So, Epstein. One more clown in Clown World. But this is an underground Clown World. This is the Gacy world of clowns. This is the kid-loving clowns that harm children and do human trafficking. Okay? Another scourge on the planet that if you get deep into it, you realize that the world really sucks. This is the underbelly. This is the worst. This is the worst. This is far lower than hell. All right? He had information that he could out almost every single one of those clowns that have been terrorizing young children and women, that have been marketing little boys in Southeast Asia. You have the Paddocks of the world who deal in guns in Las Vegas and also traffic children on airplanes. You don't hear anything about these children that disappear, but you know where they wind up? They wind up on little islands that Epstein had, okay? And sometimes a clown will pay a lot of money just to trash a human being. Why? Because they don't live in a reality of morality. They don't live in a reality of being gentle and kind and using their power for good. They live in a carnival of souls. And always remember what carnival means. Carnival means flesh fair. When you hear the word carne is Spanish, Latin for meat, flesh. So, what is a carnival? It is a carnival of flesh. And the clowns run the carnival of flesh. Okay? And here we are on planet Earth, run by clowns who want to convince you that this is a paradise, when in reality, they want to tell you, oh, this is a fun house. When it's not. It's a butcher shop. It's a butcher shop. Because they have the power to tell you to laugh or cry or lay down and die. Because that's the way things are in the carnival we call clown world. So whenever you ask yourself, if you're living in a Mandela effect where you look back at the past, it's not what I thought it was, think about where you are right now. Think about the timeline you're in right now and ask yourself, is this the timeline I chose to be in? Or is this something I rolled into because it's a carnival? It's a carnival. It's a death house disguised as an amusement park, and you guys are the amusement. And they're laughing at you because we're not calling them out on their little clown games. We're not calling them out on their little circus. We're not doing that. Why? Because we're afraid to call it what it is. It's clown world. Floppy shoes, noses, hair, yeah, they disguise that. But in the dark, the true mask comes off, and we see them for the monsters that they truly are. And when they find that one monster is caught, they will eat their own. They'll eat their own. Clowns eat their own. They do. I mean, they taste funny. But
Thank you, Hannibal.
is that a bad joke? I don't know. Yeah.
Great meme.
Is it a meme?
Yes.
Clowns and clown. We can make that a meme later, can't we? Anyway. You'll what?
I'll bring it up.
You'll bring it up? Okay, bring it up. Make a meme. Say, clowns eat clowns in clown world, but they taste funny. Something to that effect. But it's not funny, really. It's something that I think we all need to learn about and all need to study on. And while they'll tell you it's a meme that would be connected to racism, we can take that meme and say it's connected to a timeline that puts us in this crazy train that's going down the tracks to what we think is a fun house. But once again, it's like a concentration camp. We're done if we follow it. It's a gulag. What do they say? They say things like, well, I believe that we should put guards on every street. We should put perimeters around every school. We should put perimeters around every mall. We should put... No! This is the United States of America. This isn't clown world. And you're not going to put a fence around the amusement park. You're just not going to do it. Sure, you're going to give us the roller coaster ride. That's fine. We go up and down and up and down and up and down. That's okay. Or you can put us on a carousel. We go round in circles, round in circles, round in circles, circular arguments, but one measures the circle beginning anywhere. You know what? Usually if you use circular logic, you seem to find yourself in the same place over and over again. You have a Mobius strip and you say, bam! I think I figured this out. And I'm not going to go that direction anymore. I'm not going to follow clown world. And if I find somebody that's being a clown, I'm going to say, hey, clown world. You want some unicycle lessons, clown? Do you want to learn how to do balloon animals, clown? Floppy shoes, clown? The clown awoke before dawn. He put his red nose on. He made his face from the ancient gallery and put on his clown shoes, and he flopped along the hall. Clown world. It's clown world, and I don't know how else to describe it. And if you read the headlines, you get all worked up about Jeffrey Epstein and how he's dead and how he couldn't have died, just think to yourself one thing. A clown from Clown World, or a number of clowns from Clown World, took out clown number one, who basically had hidden in his little island children. Much like a Gacy clown, much like all the other scary clowns you hear about. And so they tried to off one clown. But you know what? We have people who will wake up from this carnival, and they will come forward. And if we have a lot of them come forward, they won't have a way to fool us anymore. The House of Mirrors will be shut down. And we will be the ones to do it. Why? Because we know we're living in clown world. How are we doing on time? I'm thinking that, really, what time is it?
You have another hour.
No, I don't.
44 minutes.
Oh my God, we got 15 minutes.
And then we'll do questions.
So let's do questions. I'm gonna sit down for questions. I'm actually, my knee's doing better and my legs are doing better, so I have to do it the whole time. How's that? Finally. Finally. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, Ron will put the mic to you because we are recording. Thanks to Bill Coombs. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill.
Any questions?
Any questions, any comments, anything you'd like to say? I mean, I didn't.
Come on, there's somebody out here.
There'll be somebody's got a question about anything, really, right? Okay, hi.
Hi, Clyde.
Hi.
It's more of a comment. I guess it's just disturbing to me to know that the current media
Yeah.
is allowed to get away with what they're saying,
Yeah,
and they're not prosecuted, they're not taken off the air.
right.
It's like, oh, okay.
Do you know why they're not taken off the air?
Well, because obviously the left owns them.
Well, that's one reason, but the other reason is editorializing falls under First Amendment comment on what's going on in the country. The people that you see on Fox News, the people you see on CNN, MSNBC, they're not news people. They're moderators and commentary guys. That's all they do. They're not doing news. I mean, there are people who do real news on Fox, and there are people who do real news on the networks. You can always tell because they don't have a bias. But even every once in a while, if you don't, the thing that bothers me is if something is said that bothers people and you say, like for example, red flag gun law, okay? Second Amendment people are just really, really getting touchy now. I had an assistant deputy district attorney on my show that basically brought hard down the convictions on the Manson family. He said one thing about assault rifles on my show and I was going, he's an idiot, he's an idiot. No, he's a deputy district attorney that basically has an opinion. He's not an idiot. You can say his opinion is idiotic, but he had an opinion, okay? People need to stop emotionally investing in their opinions, okay? Opinions are opinion. And the problem is in this country, we were never taught, or at least the younger generations were never taught something called mental hygiene. You know what mental hygiene is? Having a discussion, having an argument, having a really heated discussion and walking away going, I had a great time talking to you, even though I don't always agree with you. It was great. That's where I come from. But man, I'll tell you what, people don't understand that anymore. They don't understand that people have a right to their ideas. They may be dangerous ideas. And here's the thing, okay? Back in the old days, I don't know if they still have this, there are things called, the FCC has something called the open file. It's a public file, okay? And that's usually for local TV and radio stations. And what the open file is when a radio TV station applies for a license, they prove to the FCC they've been acting in the public good, that they've been acting in the public trust as a public trustee. And if you feel they haven't done that, you can send a little letter to their public file saying, I really don't appreciate the fact that you're airing this, and this, because I believe it is editorializing without giving me solid information and solid news. I want non-adversarial journalism. I want non-guerrilla journalism. I just want to hear who, why, what, when. Is it going to affect my pocketbook? Is it going to tug at my heartstrings? That's what real news is. Not what we got now. What we got now is editorializing. Everybody have you ever noticed that it's not just Don Lemon or it's not Anderson Cooper? It's Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, and a group of people, you don't know who the hell they are. They're up there going, well, here's my opinion about this. I'm thinking, who the hell are you and why do I care? I don't even know who the hell you are. Why should I care about your opinion? Because it's all opinion. And it's there to reinforce an agenda. It's there to reinforce an idea. And like you said, and I said earlier, when you have a group that owns the culture, you're going to get that. And it's going to be the opposite too when you're dealing with something like Fox News. Fox News owns the culture for their people. It's hard to find an unbiased view. Now, I think that maybe on a Sunday, when someone like Britt Hume or somebody is doing a news story or something, you'll be getting a really good story that's going to be thought-provoking and journalist-worthy. But anytime you see a reporter stick his opinion into something like, instead of saying Donald Trump said today, blah 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 blah, which would be like, okay, Donald Trump said something today, or if they say the horrible, despicable ass clown Donald Trump said today, which they barely have said this, but I'm just saying that is what you need to look at. If they're giving and inserting jabs and ideas and adjectives and things that pay no respect to a story, only traipsing off into some sort of a opinionated diatribe, and if you find yourself watching news that fits your political bias or your bias in, well, that's truth, nothing you're seeing on the news is truth. It's all from clown world. It's all being produced by clowns that want you to believe in the extremism rather than the reality. And yes, extremism exists in this country, and yes, people are extreme, but they're focusing on the extremism. They're not focusing on the average everyday Joe who's going to work from 9 to 5 and barely paying his bills, okay? They don't focus on that because they don't want anyone to get the idea that the carnival is really, really a shit show. They don't want you to know that.
They're reinforcing disrespect towards, authority here.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, whenever I say something like, for example, you don't say that about your president. I said the same thing around when Barack Obama was president, okay? This is not about Obama and it's not about Trump. It's about decency, dignity, and the ability for Americans to basically say this. If you didn't put the guy in you wanted, then next time, put the guy in you wanted. Simple as that, okay? Don't have a guy get into the office and then tell everybody, well, I'm going to make it hard for this guy for the rest of his, whatever, and then he responds because he's a narcissist, and then we're all screwed up. Like I said, clown world. They're responding to the clowns. They're not responding to the people who have the answers. They're not responding to people who are, with it. They're just responding to the clowns. And that includes people like Epstein. It includes people, all those people. They're evil people that don't care about you, and they don't share the same morals as you. They don't share the same morals as you. They're amoral. Even worse, they don't have morality. And that's what I always don't understand. I say this about elections all the time. How the hell are we as a nation supposed to expect good things from our leaders when we're voting in leaders that don't have the morality we do? They don't have the morality we do. And it's obvious with people like Epstein. They don't have the morality we do. Another thing that's interesting today. Epstein dies, and what's the first thing I say on the internet? The Clintons killed him. Are you effing kidding me? The Clintons killed him? Or the Russians? Joe Scarborough. That's so Russian. How about... It's not you, is it? Is it you? Damn Russian just walked in the minute I said Russian. I love you, man. I'm glad to see you. Damn Russians. They screw everything up. That was freaking weird. Clown world. You start talking bad about the Russians and the Russians show up. You're getting a big hug later, you know. Don't avoid it. Anyway. But yeah, Joe Scarborough today put out a tweet and said something about how it's so Russian what happened with Epstein. And I'm like going, hey, you lose your credibility today, Joe? It's all Russians and it's all the Clintons. How about that Epstein had the goods on more people than just the Clintons? Okay? Think about that for a moment. He had the goods on all the clowns. Either somebody put him in a clown car with all the rest of the clowns and he's off somewhere in some beach somewhere and no one knows where he's at, or they really did kill him. They really did kill him. Okay? They killed him because he knew too much. They always kill the people that know too much. Anyone's about to shut them down, shut down their carnival, shut down their show, shut down their circus, they're done.
He's dead, he got off easy.
Yeah, he's dead, he got off easy. You're right. Too bad he's not standing trial, we would have found out a lot more. But once again, I have to tell you that no worries. There are people, I'm sure they're going to come forward. And when they come forward, you'll be hearing the truth. But you know what they're going to do? They're going to distract you with other things. The extremism, they're going to distract you. Why? Because they know how to distract you with bears and dancing bears and cartwheeling clowns. That's how it's done. I remember back when I did Ground Zero, someone always said, you know, I love listening to your show. I love it when you talk about the conspiracy theories, but why do you always have to talk about UFOs? Why do you have to talk about Bigfoot? Why? And I said to them, I said, because I love dancing bears. They go, what are dancing bears? I said, Captain Kangaroo used to say that whenever something screwed up, like when Moose or the ping pong balls didn't go well, or Mr. Green Jeans was out throwing up because he was drunk, they said the way to save the show was to bring out the dancing bear. Well, I mean, UFOs and Bigfoot are my dancing bears, and I love them because I love dancing bears too. But see, the media in clown world, they also know how to use dancing bears. And dancing bears are there to distract you from the main story. So always remember to focus on the things that are not extreme. Focus on the things that are happening underneath the extremism. And I think you'll find out what's going on under the radar. You don't want to be a part of clown world. You want to look above clown world. Yeah, everybody likes the circus. Everybody likes to see a blow 'em up, shoot 'em up movie. But when all goes down to it, you're just a human being trying to get through life. You're just a human being trying to get through this show, this reality TV show we call life. You just got to avoid clown world.
Any more questions?
Yeah, with all the clowns, who do you think are the higher echelon clowns that actually can really make some powerful things happen, like killing, assassinating somebody in broad daylight and making them look like it was a...
It's always intelligence, CIA, FBI, NSA, and other intelligence star commands we've never heard of, which of course don't answer to anyone, don't answer to the president, don't answer to Congress. They just show up and do their thing. And the president wakes up, talks to his chiefs of staff, they say, what happened today? This happened today. They look at it and say, how can we strategically make this work? Because FDR said, hey, you know, if something happens in government, it's planned that way. So whenever anything goes down, you bet they have strategists going, okay, some guy just shot up a Walmart in El Paso, Texas. How do we make this work? Well, why don't we go to this guy and say something about how Donald Trump, actually his oratory and his speeches are just like Hitler's. Great idea. How about you, Malcolm Nance, tell everybody that President Trump is sending telepathic messages to his white supremacist foot soldiers. Brilliant. Let's do that. Cut. Print. And then they just keep going and going and going until finally I go, are you kidding me? This past week, man, clown world. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because it is clown world. And the thing, you notice how it's all about El Paso, not about Dayton, not the fact that this kid was a Satanist and he too, you know, he wanted to cause trouble. He wanted to be a trickster, a clown. Did you know that here's the thing that's most interesting, and I don't think anybody heard this. Did you know that the killer at the Garlic Festival, guess what they found in his car? A clown mask. Yeah, the trickster, the Joker, making a return. They don't always paint their faces, but you know they're the clowns. They're the ones that want the attention. They're the ones that do that stuff. And that's what you're going to get in clown world. It's not fake news. It's clown world. Plain and simple.
Any more questions?
Did you see where Epstein, the picture of him, and I think I put a GIF on there, but his mouth looks like the Joker.
Oh yeah, I saw that today too. I saw there were somebody had made Epstein into the Joker from Batman today. I saw the meme. It's going around. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
Hopefully this will not be mistaken for a clown nose.
No, not at all.
So, I had heard after I was reformed by Ron Paul, and I don't know if you have asked him to be on your show or not. You don't particularly like politicians as guests.
No, I don't have politicians on my desk on my show because my show is not politic. It's not a political show, so no, I will not have a politician on my show at all.
Even past.
I turned down Trump, so just to let you know.
Well,
Get one clap. Come on, I turned down Donald Trump. That takes balls, guys. I gave him to Lars.
yeah, well, speaking of the name that you just mentioned, one name he has not mentioned, I've heard you mention Lars, but one name he has not mentioned is your name. So
Who, Donald Trump?
No, Lars.
Oh,
Does not
no.
mention you.
Of course he doesn't mention me. He won't.
But I was wondering.
He used to call my show a lot, though, back in the old days. I had to tell him to stop calling my show. I think it's because he wanted to always correct me. You're wrong, you're wrong. I'm like, Lars, come on, buddy.
Well, this is better than calling in your show.
I'm just saying, I mean, I don't call during Conspiracy Theory Thursday, so I mean,
Right.
it's only fair, right? Go ahead.
It's not much of a conspiracist, even though he claims that Thursdays is his, day for that. But
Yeah.
he kind of shuts down that stuff. But
course.
I was wondering if Mr. Trump actually got in. Now, I'd heard, they set up the who they want to be as president. But was Trump a truly independent force that they could not reel in and did get elected by the people? And second question, how much does he control, or can he control the outside forces that would maybe will be working against him?
As much as it won't sound popular, Trump does not control intelligence at all in this country. Is that a surprise to anybody? No, he has no handle on intelligence whatsoever in this country. And that's not saying bad things about Trump. Says, oh, Clyde, you're saying bad things about Trump again. No, he's just not in it. They don't give him intelligence. They don't give it to him unless it's absolutely necessary. So no, he isn't, okay?
And he can't demand it.
Oh, he can demand it. It's called emergency stuff, but he's been sidestepping Congress to do that all the time. He does that all the time. Bad, good, whatever. If it's getting stuff done, I guess that's how he operates his business. But as far as him coming in as president, I've always said that he's a wrecking ball. He was a wrecking ball force that was elected in or selected in the office to be a wrecking ball. Just like 9/11 was a wrecking ball. 9/11 was a wrecking ball to basically get on the table the idea of socialism. Seriously.
So you think he was selected?
What?
You think he was selected?
That was a question I had.
What, that he was selected?
Yeah,
Or that he was truly elected
Or placed.
by a majority that the cabal?
I think, like anybody else, he was selected. But he was selected for reasons why we'll never understand, and he was selected because of wrecking ball operations. This is the thing. 9/11 was supposed to be a wrecking ball operation, and it almost worked. Because as much as people want to love their conservative presidents and their lefty presidents and whatever, ever since George Sr., we have had on the table the move towards the establishment of the New World Order. Okay? We have had that happening ever since ever since John Hinckley tried to shoot Reagan. Okay? We were moving in that direction. And then everybody, the Clintons moved in, and of course they were also into this. Then you have, Bush 2, and after 9/11 you notice that the presidency acted a little bizarre. And we saw that one guy had more power over the other. His name was Dick Cheney, okay? Why? Because him and Bolton and Scooter Libby and all these other people wrote a manifesto called the Project for the New American Century, where they said, we want to take over, but no one's going to believe that we can take over unless we have something go down like a new Pearl Harbor. 1 year later, they got their new Pearl Harbor. And it worked really well for them to take over and take our rights away. And in the process, they were trying to push a new kind of socialism. But the people didn't want it. Then comes Barack Obama, one of the best globalist presidents pushing a globalist agenda we ever had. And he was. I mean, there were a lot of things he did, but you know what they don't point out is a lot of things that Trump has been inheriting, he did too. That is, a country that was at each other's throats with riots all over, racism, divide, putting kids in cages, all those things were going on during the Obama administration, and then it just came right over to the Trump administration. And now they have a poster child to blame 18 years of struggle on, and instead of saying the solution is going back to the Constitution, they're saying, screw it, kill all the government, let's go be socialists. They're not even hiding it anymore. So your Green New Deals and your socialist reforms and your democratic socialism is all lying in wait. Why? Because we've got a wrecking ball president. And even though he may have been selected to be a wrecking ball, and even though he's doing what he thought he'd do, there are a lot of things he's not doing, and he's not succumbing to globalism. That's one of the things I think that we can take to the bank with Trump. Is he's not going to sell us out to the globalists. He's just not going to do it because he believes America should be a free country. But see, here's the thing. When you're being about President Trump, no, I gave criticism to President Trump because that's what you do to leadership, you criticize them. If they don't do it, you don't sit there and worship them and go, oh my God, he's my external savior. No, that's the problem in this country. We've created external saviors that we identify with. It's called identity politics, and it's something that took out the Middle Eastern countries. It's something that took out Saudi Arabia. And yet we're going in the same direction. Everybody's like going, no, it's good for the country, it's healthy. It's not healthy at all. What we're doing is we're digging our own hole. It's called omnicide. We are eating each other. And it's not supposed to happen because the enemy is not within, the enemy is outside. And we've been fighting like hell to close the borders to keep them out, but you know what they do? They mix that in with the Latinos and everybody else. They go, oh, you don't like those people, huh? No, we just don't like people to come in and screw us. That's the point. You gotta say it like it said. When 9/11 happened, you know what I said we should do? Close the freaking borders. And why do we close the borders? Because business would be shut down for at least a year or two so that we can heal our country. We have not healed since 9/11. And there is no way in hell we're gonna heal if we keep thinking that everybody hates everybody. You can't do that. Yes, go ahead.
JD Lewis has a question.
Hi, JD. JD Lewis,
Hey, Clyde.
Fringe FM.
The Fringe.
The Fringe FM.
I have a question for you, okay?
Okay.
So, my question is, what about those that want to secede from the oppressive government, as in Cascadia? So we've got California, Oregon, Washington State, British Columbia, and Alaska.
Well,
What do you think about that?
I think that we Troutdale.
Over to Troutdale.
I think that here's the thing. A guy brought this up on my
East County.
a guy brought this up on my show the other day. He was talking about Texas too. Texas has the ability to secede, and the thing is that Texas can secede and they can do it tomorrow if they want to. Cascadia now. This is a great idea. Why? Because we can reflect our values in a country that's easier to run because we have some of the best natural resources here in the Pacific Northwest than other places. So can you imagine if we were to become a country, how they would want our resources? Would say, no, tariffs, sorry, you don't get them. See, because we would be able to control things. We'd be able to control our laws. We'd be able to control our resources. And so Cascadia, I've heard about, it's a great idea. I know my wife is just like, yes.
Kate Brown for president.
Oh, that made me sick.
Okay, we're done. Thank you.
Talk about suicide watch.
Thank you. Another clown. Ted Wheeler, clown number 2.
Yeah.
Yes, let's include Troutdale, because they're going to have a Bigfoot festival next week. I'm going to be there. So no, I mean, you know, Jane's right. Jeannie's got a great idea. It's like, you know, maybe it's time we should start thinking about, rather than revolutionizing ourselves against the president and a group of Democrats, Republicans going down about us, why don't we organize and have our own group, have our own country, have our own world? We separate ourselves from clown world. I mean, I don't see a problem with that. I don't see a problem with people making inroads to make their lives better when we're all sitting there stuck and enslaved by draconian laws that they continue to implement on us because the extremists have taken over. The only problem is though, how are we going to get the country of Cascadia to get on the same page with regard to what we need? And that's the question. I mean, you have to find a way to find agreements within everybody to make sure that if you're going to have a country, the country starts fresh with great resources. I mean, we got clean water here, we got trees, we got oceans, we got soil that's fertile, we got it all, man. So yeah, the idea of Cascadia, I think, is a great idea.
And how could we plan anything when they can see everything that we're doing too? You know?
Well, but that's the thing, is if you're going to be a country within a country or whatever, I mean, look what happened to Ukraine, look what happened to Georgia. I mean, look at an Armenia. Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing, is that when you do something bold like that, you got to say to yourself, well, okay, so what bases do I have? What armies do I have? What guns and what rockets do I have to protect my borders? And so those are some other things you need to consider.
I guess I mean too, how can we plan anything without Big Brother seeing everything we're doing?
I don't know. I'm not a regional planner. You'll have to talk to JD about that. She's done that. She's very good at it, actually. Any other questions? Hey guys, thank you so much for coming out to the Ground Zero Lounge. We're going to karaoke in just a bit. By the way, we have all kinds of swag over here. I'll be signing t-shirts and pictures, all kinds of cool things. Thank you so much. You guys have been a great crowd. Thank you again. Thank you.